Bad disaster happened in 2020. Coronavirus pandemic. The outbreak of coronavirus, or COVID-19, is one 2020 calamity that has caused significant human suffering and major global economic disruption. The 2019-2020 Australian bushfire. The fires, which peaked during December and January, have since been contained and extinguished. More than half of all Australians have been directly affected by the bushfire crisis. As of March 9, the fire burned over an estimated 18.6 million hectares, destroyed over 5,900 buildings, and killed at least 34 people. Jetliner crash in Iran. This culminated in Iran's military, unintentionally, shooting down the Ukrainian jetliner that crashed, killing all 176 aboard. Devastating floods in Indonesia. Floods in Indonesia's capital Jakarta and nearby towns on the early hours of January 1 killed 66 people and forced almost 400,000 to flee their homes. At least 182 neighborhoods have been submerged in the city's greater area, inundating thousands of homes and buildings. Communal riots in Delhi. The 2020 Delhi riots included multiple waves of bloodshed, property destruction, and rioting that killed 53 people. Most of whom were Muslims who were shot, slashed with repeated blows, or set on fire by Hindu mobs in northeast Delhi beginning on the night of February 23. The events were the result of fallout from the Citizenship Amendment Act. Taal volcano eruption. Red-hot lava gushed out of a volcano in the Philippines on January 12 after a sudden eruption of ash and steam forced villagers to flee and also shut down Manila's international airport, offices, and schools. The clouds of ash blew more than 100 kilometers, 62 miles, north, reaching the bustling capital, Manila, and forcing the shutdown of the country's main airport with more than 240 international and domestic flights cancelled. Death of Kobe Bryant in helicopter crash. On January 26, Kobe Bryant, one of the NBA's all-time greatest players, was killed at age 41 in a helicopter crash near Los Angeles along with his 13-year-old daughter and 7 others on board. First earthquake in Turkey and the Caribbean. A total of 41 people were killed and more than 1,600 were injured in eastern Turkey after an earthquake rattled the region on January 24. The 6.7 magnitude quake struck near the town of Sivris, in eastern Elazığ province. Second earthquake in Caribbean. Another powerful 7.7 magnitude earthquake struck in the Caribbean on January 28, prompting brief tsunami warnings and office evacuations as far away as Florida. The quake hit between Jamaica, the Cayman Islands and Cuba at a depth of 10 km, 6.2. It is the largest earthquake in the Caribbean since 1946. Locusts swam in East Africa. Hundreds of billions of locusts swarmed through parts of East Africa and South Asia in the worst infestation for a quarter of a century, threatening the food supply of tens of millions. The Food and Agricultural Organization said that the locusts could affect the food security of 25 million people. Dead locusts in Saudi Arabia after intensive pest control operations, February 21, 2020. Gas plant explosion in Lagos, Nigeria. An explosion at a gas processing plant on March 15 killed at least 15 people and destroyed about 50 buildings after a fire broke out in a suburb of Lagos, Nigeria's commercial capital. Brown New Zealand glaciers. Images of glaciers in New Zealand turning brown was one of the aftermaths caused by the Aussie bushfire, which may result in a quicker meltdown of the glaciers. The glaciers turned brown after being exposed to dust from Aussie's bushfires, and this could cause the glaciers to melt as much as 30%. Vegetation in the Himalayas. The rapid change of climate in the Himalayas have caused the melting of Himalayan glaciers, witnessed by the increase in the vegetation of shrubs and grass in the mountains. You would think that grass is good, right? Well, not for the Himalayas, as scientists are saying that this will quicken melt rates and increase the risk of flooding. Floods in Dubai. Dubai is heavily affected by floods and numerous flights have been delayed or cancelled. This is very unusual as the city does not usually receive a lot of rain. The extreme rainfall is linked to climatic change. Flood in Indonesia. Flooding in Jakarta is said to be the worst over the last decade and has taken 66 lives to date. The floods are caused by heavy torrential rains, triggering mudslides and floods. Storms in America's deep south. As severe storms sweep across Texas, Alabama, and Louisiana, taking 11 lives thus far, the deep south faced huge problems having to deal with the onslaught of floods, high winds, and thunderstorms.